Hello, everybody. Welcome to Underground Examination. I'm Isaac Anderson. I'm going to be your host this evening. And right here, I'm with Jim and Ashley Cash from Woven Green. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. Thank you. Yeah,
Well,
glad to be here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. We're so happy to have you guys here. And thank you so much for coming. Really quick, I think we should just jump right into it, guys. Tell us a little bit about yourselves. I take it y'all know each other quite well. But why don't you let the people at home know why exactly you know each other so well?
Yes, thank you. Okay, so we're Jim and Ashley Cash, and we're called Woven Green, and we're husband and wife duo. So we've been playing music together for about 14. We've been married for 14 years, so we've been playing about that long.
About 17 years.
Maybe even a little longer. But yeah, so we're we're really just passionate about creating good music and dedicating ourselves to this project, and that's basically what it is.
We do this full time. We are,
Sweet.
full-time musicians. We also teach music as well. We wear a lot of hats in the music world.
Yeah, and I think we'll talk about a few of those hats that you guys wear in just a little bit. Like we were talking a little bit before the show started. And it's really interesting kind of how you got in certain things. And it's really awesome with the stuff you're doing. But we can't get ahead of ourselves. First off, let's kind of backtrack to the beginning, okay?
Sure. Yep,
So,
yep.
kind of going to the beginning, how did you guys both get started into music? Jim, why don't we start with you?
Sure, yeah. So I was a bit of a late bloomer. I didn't start playing guitar. That was my first instrument until I was 18. My father gifted me a guitar, and quite honestly, I wasn't sure what to really do with it. It wasn't a thought in my mind to go pursue that. But the more it kind of sat there, the more it called to me, and I eventually did take lessons and quickly discovered that I had an aptitude for it and that I really enjoyed it. And then, I just started getting attracted to playing with other musicians. I moved out to Arizona for a while, lived out west. And a lot of people were playing music out there, creating their own music. And that was something that was very appealing to me, to get into the creative aspect of music. And then, from there, I just kept pursuing it and playing with other musicians and furthering my studies, and eventually met this lovely lady over here, and fell in love with her voice before we actually developed into a relationship. I heard her sing, and I was blown away. And I said, "That's the voice I've been looking for, for my songs." So, we kind of dove on in, and it was a happy synthesis. And, yeah.
Yeah, and for me, I started music pretty early. I guess you could say I would. I talk to my mom about this, and she tells me that I came out like screaming, singing. So I started in the womb, with with music, and really as a kid, I was always singing and running around, and I grew up in a musical family, so I had the benefit of learning about a lot of different kinds of music, and and then really was always kind of searching. I wasn't a real strong writer myself. So, as I started to develop into songwriting and trying and different things, I was always kind of looking for the right song to sing because I wanted something with really good content. And it wasn't really till I met Jim where it was like, okay, this is like the perfect fusion because he's the songwriter looking for the singer to sing the song, and I'm the singer looking for the song to sing. So
yeah, she was. I wasn't much of a singer. I never considered myself to be a singer. Although, she's helped me out quite a bit. And
you be doing pretty well for yourself.
Well,
right
thank
now,
you,
to be
man. I
honest.
do appreciate that. Actually playing the flutes has helped a lot with breathing and learning how to sustain notes and get more comfortable with that. But no, truly, I was sort of this closet songwriter, kind of shy, more introverted. She was very extroverted, had this, a big voice. And so we complemented each other nicely in that regard.
Woven to their green.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That is really beautiful how you guys met. It seemed like you were just perfect for each other and just found each other at the right time and everything. So obviously you guys have a very distinct sound. It's a very wonderful sound. But for the people that haven't heard your music, how would you describe your sound?
Okay, so to simplify it, which is really funny because I'm mentioning like 4 genres in this simplification, we call it folk, rock, world, new age. And we've had different phases, and this is something about like what this project is for us, and like Woven Green being the container of our self-expression, right? Is that we really are like just experiencing life and going through changes and adapting and changing. So it's not like it's ever finished, you know, when you're creating something. And so we've kind of moved in and out of different genres, sometimes playing into progressive rock, sometimes playing into, you know, a really folky side that even like can veer into country at random moments, and sometimes going into this other element where we're working with, you know, the healing power of sound and the meditative qualities and all of this. So really, like when we have to name it, we call it folk rock world new age, so that it can kind of encompass some of those things. But it is definitely
There's
a
some pop
genre,
in there too. Yeah.
a genre bending kind of experience that we're, you know, experiencing.
It just kind of organically blends into
Yeah.
everything.
Totally. Yeah.
You try to keep
exactly.
it from feeling so eclectic that it's like, what is going on? You know, you've got to find the common chord. And
Yeah, it's always
really-
that's a tricky question, you know. And
Yeah.
I think for many years it was like, you know, what do we call ourselves? You know, alternative folk rock fusion, and you know, it just seemed kind of utterly pretentious and ridiculous to use these long-winded labels to, you know, describe ourselves. It's really an amalgamation of what she said, and I think even without us really realizing, there's actually some pop in there as well, not in a totally mainstream way, but enough of it that creeps itself in there. So.
Well, wonderful, wonderful. And we'll get to hearing that sound in just a few minutes. But actually, right before we get into it, what is the process of you guys actually developing a song? Can you kind of lead us from like maybe from the start to finish of like you guys creating something?
Yeah. So, you know, I should probably back up a little bit, you know, because it usually starts with me. You know, I usually do the initial composing, and then we kind of come together and flesh out lyrical ideas and, you know, arrangement stuff and that sort of thing. But a lot of that sound, you know, very early on, I started experimenting with alternate tunings. And for those of you who are not familiar with that in the music world, you know, there's standard tuning, a standard tuning that you use, you know, for guitar, and you know, it's a particular method of learning and, you know, understanding chords and scales and, you know, all that stuff. But when you throw in alternate tunings, you start with a blank slate. It's tabula rasa. And so that was always sort of kind of a choose your own adventure kind of approach, really, you know, in that all those things that you learn are now out the window, and you're just going by instinct of what sounds good. So I think I started developing a particular sound through those voicings and tunings, and yeah, so there's a lot of fun sort of creative exploration there, and then when we get together, you know, you know, I'll usually have an idea, and then Ashley, you know, will sort of kind of work her own creativity and style and weave that in there. So I don't know if you wanted to add anything else to that, but
No, I mean, really, it's also an organic thing too. When you know, like we don't often think about it. Like, okay, let's write a song. You know, it's
Yeah.
often like the muse will strike Jim, and then it sort of starts like a domino effect, and we really just kind of amp off of that. And then, you know, when we also do this other aspect of our music in the longer formats, it's straight improv. So we're really just kind of playing off of each other. And you know, since we've spent so much time together and we work with each other in so many capacities, we really know how to communicate musically in that way that we can just sort of enter into a musical space and like kind of just trust each other and go where we're going to go and follow each other. And it's always like an adventure when we're, you know, in that particular space. And then like writing or having like a concept, we'll kind of even say like an album, we'll kind of look, okay, like let's get a view of what we want this to be and then start kind of like building it off of that. So sometimes it's like about creating like a little container, even like you get the muse, you get the piece, and then you're kind of like, okay, well, how do we like ground that into something real, and how do we like fill it out, you know? And
yeah, I think, you know, I think over the years, knowing each other's strengths and, you know, as we've developed our sound, when I write now, you know, I hear Ashley's voice, you know, already there. So, you know, I'll know right away, you know, if it's a song I think that's going to really soar for her. So it, you know, very much influenced by that. But yeah, in the improvisational sense, like she was saying, that's been an interesting sort of departure, you know, from the typical sort of structure and format that we go by. writing a song, and it's opened up a world of exploration and also growth as musicians, just being in the moment with the music.
Sweet. Well, I guess we're about to hear one of those moments in just a minute. So I think it's time we get into a song. So what is the first song you guys are going to be playing for us?
Sure, yeah. It's called The Call. Yep.
Oh, we're
and
playing Breaking Free first.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
This is why we
This
keep
is-
each other
this is the
straight.
bouncing off.
This is, yeah, we keep each other straight.
This is the collaboration at
Yes.
work right now.
Actually, we're gonna play Breaking Free, which is
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, I'll let you guys kind of get
Great,
situated and
let's do it.
everything.
Okay.
Well, hope you guys are enjoying this. This is Underground Examination. This is Woven Green, and they're going to be playing Breaking Free. So take it away, guys.
Got it.
Lifting my eyes up towards the sun, breaking free from the spell that I was under. I crawled out of the valley where I had spent so long, fighting off the vultures I'd come to own. Great Spirit moved me, I'm filled up again. Great Spirit, do what you will of me. Upon those weary shoulders sat the jailer and the guard, while the thieves came and robbed me of my sight. And I stumbled round so blindly, was cast out in the night, then buried with my shame and no hope of light. Great Spirit moved me, gave me strength to rise, put me back upon my feet again. So I set the sails of hope to give it one more try, for that which held me captive also gave me wings to fly. On a crested peak I stood as tears came rolling down, in the revelation of beauty everywhere. And the vultures turned to doves, and the jailer laughed out loud as he lent his hand to help me up from the ground. Great Spirit, move me, I see you in all things, the same power deep inside of me. Lifting my eyes up towards the sun, breaking free from the spell that I was under. Breaking free, breaking free, breaking free.
Wonderful, wonderful. That was awesome.
Thank you.
And we're going to get into some more music in just a second, but I have one question before we get into the next song. The name Woven Green, can you both tell me exactly how you came across that name?
Sure, yeah. So it was actually a song of ours called Woven Green. It was inspired actually by a Walt Whitman poem called Song of Myself. And there was a line that struck me in that song, in that poem, rather. Let me see if I can quote it. But it's, a child came forth and said, "What is this grass? Fetching it to me with full hands." How could I answer the child, for I don't know what it is any more than he. I guess it must be the flag of my disposition out of hopeful green stuff woven. So that's where the inspiration for that came from, and you know, it was suggested to us by a couple people that would be a neat name for what we do, and so we decided to go for that, and it just kind of stuck. But yeah, it's really without interpreting that too much. You know, my take on that really was, you know, kind of being free and not limited, and open to, you know, instead of having a sort of concrete idea how we view the world, this allows for a much more expanded sort of periphery.
Awesome, wonderful, wonderful. Well, I think it's time we hear another Woven Green track right now. What are we playing for us next?
So this is called The Call. This is The Call. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, this is The Call by Woven Green.
Oh, yeah. So sorry. Yeah, no worries, no worries.
All right, sweetie.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Things are on the bright side, my eyes are looking west, out beneath the canopy of this morning sky. On a trip to the jewel point where new life awakes, in a waterfall of clarity pouring through. Find the seed of freedom if it's just a moment's race. Enlighten us with inspiration, wake us into blue.
Underneath the waterfall, dancing waves of ecstasy. Feel it rush all over you, and the healing will begin to lay these burdens down, so we may see again. Invitation that was sent here so long ago, in every waking moment it's calling out to you. Turning on all senses, overcome with love, puts you in another spin and lifts you up into this other life. We move our souls along, listen for the call to bring about the dawn. Underneath the waterfall, dancing waves of ecstasy. Feel it rush all over you, and the healing will begin to lay these burdens down, so we may see again. shine, a great illusion drowns, cast us out of paradise and proclaimed it can't be found. Can you hear the cry for healing? Oh, the cry for hope, crying out for vision in the valleys of your souls. Wonder what we're waiting for, standing in the dark. Heaven's here on earth, my love, for those who turn it on.
Underneath the waterfall, dancing waves of ecstasy, feel it rush all over you, and the healing will begin to lay these burdens down, so we may see again.
Another great one, guys.
Thanks.
There you go, guys. So, we talked a little bit about like your background in music, how you guys met and everything. What's a typical day for you guys like?
That's actually a really interesting question, because as an independent musician, you sort of find yourself in so many different places that we have no typical day. It's a little bit like recently what we've been finding is that we think of different modes that we're in. So like we might have a touring mode, or we might have a recording mode, or we might have a prepping for touring mode, and that kind of thing. So really there's like 10 different versions of typical days, but any of which might include a little bit of teaching, a little bit of promotions, a little bit of booking, a little bit of practice. Hopefully we can get time to actually play music, so it's a lot of different things really. So it's a tricky question to pin down because we're still trying to find some sort of typical as we're creating our, sort of independent music lifestyle,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that just goes with the indie lifestyle, and you guys seem to be killing it in that regard. So, also, we're going to talk a little bit about your albums in just a second, but I specifically wanted to ask you guys about your album artwork. Okay,
Oh, cool.
It really adds kind of like when you look at it, it really adds to like the aesthetic and the feel of your music. I was just
Right.
wondering, who designs those? Do you guys come up with them? Do you design them? Do you have somebody design them? And how do you come up with them?
Well, awesome. Thank you for asking, especially because I created them.
Oh, sweet!
Thank you.
I legitimately did not know that. That's awesome.
Oh, cool. So sometimes what we'll do is, when we have a concept for an album, we'll sit down and sort of talk about like what the visual of that might be. And I'll get a picture in my head enough that I can go take it to, painting. So in the case of, 2 of the albums, or 3 at least, there's been actual, like, I've put a acrylic painting together in about the right dimensions that'll end up being in the design. And I've also done all the design work too. So it's just sort of like playing with these different elements to work with the visualization of what we're trying to get through with the poetry, what we're trying to get through with the intention of the music. So it's just like another layer of trying to put our vision into something concrete, So it's a really fun process to go through the visioning, to get the actual image, and then to get the courage up. Because in my case, for whatever reason, I have like a weird thing about painting. Like I have to get in a very particular mood. I got to work myself into it, and it's like, okay, I know what I'm doing. All right, I gotta gotta have my own like pep talk about it, and then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna paint it, and then I'll do it. So that's what this last one or the last couple albums were, and I'm actually really excited about both of those paintings. One of them was the most exciting one for me was the Seventh Gate, which is really like a picture of sort of a nebula in the spiral universe in a doorway in the middle of the forest. So it's sort of like a multi-dimensional kind of like imagery. So I like to play with that kind of thing.
Absolutely, and yeah, they're all online, and so you can look at them,
Yes.
and you can check out the music that's on them too.
Yes.
That's kind of what they're there for.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think we should talk about your albums right before we get into your next song.
Mm-hmm.
You've released, I believe, it's 3 albums in in the last few years. I believe the first one, Into the Bloom, then you had The Great Return, and you just mentioned The Seventh Gate.
Yeah.
The most recent ones, especially like this most recent one, which I believe is The Seventh Gate, is the most recent one you
Yeah,
had. What was the inspiration for that album? Is there anything specific, or is
Well,
there
yeah,
like?
actually, a lot of specific with that. It was definitely a concept album, and that's just something, as independent musicians, you get to play with whatever you want, you get to create whatever you want, and we sort of sat down with like, okay, this is going to be 10 minutes long each track. There's going to be 7 tracks, and we kind of started with that. Like we know we want to do the 7 based on the 7 chakras of the human energy field, right? So then we from there worked with like basic resonant frequencies, which we've learned, through some of our studies, are actually like ancient, understanding of music and the basic relationships of notes to each other. So we did 10 minutes on each of these different tones and resonant frequencies. So it was like kind of having a 10-minute track of like a drone tone that you get to play with, and open up into, and that really in itself like was very surprising for us because we had an idea going into it of what it might be musically, but when we let ourselves completely get ourselves out of the way and our minds out of the way and just let the music sort of work through us, really surprising things happened in the recording process, and really it can start with a spark of an idea, but then sometimes when you're creating it, it just becomes its own thing, and you just sort of go with it, and it's now leading the way, and you're just kind of like trying to keep up with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely think you guys caught up with it in a way. And it is a wonderful thing. You can all that kind of comes through your music, and it's really wonderful how you kind of interlaced all these different things and all these different aspects of like history and like just nature in general, and kind of put them into everything. It's wonderful. Do you have a specific favorite track off the new album?
I tend to gravitate towards 2 tracks in particular, but it's hard for me to say whether they're favorites. But just for the purpose of throwing something out there, I would say I think it's the 4th track. It's called Lemurian Waves. It's actually the heart chakra. And I think a lot of our music is coming from that space. In fact, the color that's associated with the heart chakra is green. So
So it works.
It's appropriate.
It's
Yeah.
appropriate. So I don't know. There's something very victorious about the way that composition flows to its finality, and it makes you feel good. The next track after that is called Caduceus Rising, and that was it's very much more intense track that sort of goes back and forth between major and minor keys. So there's a lot of juxtaposing moods in there. It too also has a little bit of a sort of triumphant feel in moments. So yeah.
Awesome. And again, that stuff's online if you ever want to check it out.
Yeah.
Just personal recommendation. You should, maybe, if you want to. We're not allowed to do call to actions on this radio station. But anyway, the next song you guys are going to play, what's this one called?
This is called Blue Child, and this was actually being in the moment. We just decided to do this song when we got here. It wasn't on our plan to do it, but this is an old song that we wrote many years ago when we were first starting our musical relationship together. Actually, Ashley had written the main, sort of melody in chords. She had this piece composed, and so we just kind of. She gave me the okay to sort of play around with the lyrical end of it. So this was kind of the first song that we actually wrote together. And it's a fun song. It definitely kind of veers more, it crosses into sort of the mystical realm, which is very much the Seventh Gate and the Great Return concept. So
Oh, beautiful. I guess we're about to hear the collaboration at work. Okay, so this is Blue Child by Woven Green.
Right.
ashes, there are songs for you to sing.
Restless vines among the rustling leaves,
Upon the chords they bend.
churning chimes and chanting melody.
Sleepy mist ascend.
Clear and crisp twilight stars,
A crystal cadence never end.
Blue child, what wisdom do you bring?
From the treasure chest of ashes, there are songs for you to sing.
Moss-soaked stones, the steps across
A silver stream.
weathered roots reminiscing,
Revolving hums of ancestry.
whispers suspended on a mythic breeze.
Blue child walks the bridge between.
Blue child, what wisdom do you bring?
From the treasure chest of ashes, there are songs for you to sing.
That was incredible. And might I say, man, like we don't get the flute a whole lot. I was very excited for it. It did not disappoint. I specifically liked the little thing you did. Oh my gosh, that's like my favorite moment of the year. So congratulations, you've made it in the history books. So really quick before we go, I know we got to end up in just a sec. How can people find you guys online? You got social media, website, or
Yeah. So we're on wovengreenmusic.com. And we're Instagram is Woven Green Music, and also Woven Green Music on Facebook.
Instagram
And-
as well.
Yeah. So those are kind of our main ones. I know there's more out there, but we're trying to keep
Twitter
up.
as well.
So but the website's a great way to catch everything, and of course our music's on iTunes, Spotify, all that. Any place you can download it, basically, it's there. So yeah, yeah.
Sweet. Would you guys like to add anything before we end up?
Well, I think let's see. We have some cool stuff coming up. We're going to be recording
kind
our
of
next
shameless
album.
promotions
Yeah,
can we
shameless
do here,
promotion
right?
moment here. Thank you.
You got a little bit of time. How about we take a minute and we kind of
Cool. So yeah, we have we're working on our next album right now, and we actually have a concept for 3 different ones at the moment. So we're just kind of slowly beginning the process. We're working on our next single now, so that hopefully will be out within a couple months. And we also have we're going to be touring next year as well, and we have a special retreat that we offer, which is in Costa Rica. So you can come spend a week with us and. Lots of flute. If you like the flute, like that speaks to you. We do a lot. We do like a workshop every day where we're creating healing sounds, and then we go to waterfalls and amazing places and eat awesome fruit from the trees. It's kind of an amazing experience. So we have this retreat. So if you're interested in that, you can learn about that on our website as well. And our new album, we're very excited. A lot of the songs on this new one are songs we've had for a long time. So it's been kind
some
of
new ones,
brewing
too.
and
Yeah.
ready to be birthed.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, awesome. We can't wait to see that birth. About the music. I think
About-
we should be
yeah,
specific. Well, thank you guys so much for watching, everybody. Thank you guys so much for coming. You can catch up with them on social media. We really do appreciate everybody that has taken the time out of their day to listen to this awesome music. My name is Isaac Anderson for Studio 67, and everybody here, stay lively. Have a good day.
All right, thanks.